Hello and welcome to the Scratching Post, where we discuss all things relating to the greatest team of all, the Geelong Footy Club. My name is Brian Coppock, and with me is another that bleeds blue and white, Luke Young. How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, going great and excited about tomorrow night's game. So that's what we're going to talk about, the big game against Richmond Tigers at the MCG. So well, as we know, the Cats once dominated the Tigers, thumping them across multiple decades. However, the Tigers have recently held the upper hand, winning both of their previous two encounters. Two clubs have played 193 times, the Cats with 103 wins and the Tigers 87, and there have been three draws between the two clubs. However, since 1980, the record is 45-16 in the Cats' favour. So we've had it over the Tigers for a long time, but and hopefully we restore order tomorrow night. Let's talk about the changes. What do you this week? It seems dynamic defender and All-Australian contender Tom Stewart looks certain to miss the game. But good news for Geelong fans is it doesn't seem to be long-term injury. And Reece Stanley is also under an injury cloud. So with one, possibly two forced changes this week, what do you think will happen, Luke?
I think Thurlow will come in. I think they're pretty keen to keep Henry up forward. So I think that Thurlow will come in and cover the back line. They also spoke about playing Joel Selwood back a little bit. So we'll see how that sort of plays out. In terms of the ruck, I think everyone's hoping to see Ryan Abbott. But I think that Zach Smith will probably... Is Zach Smith injured? I don't know. If he's not injured, Zach Smith will probably play, I'd say.
Yeah, no, he's back. He's back. Yeah, so Zach Smith, and if Stanley doesn't come up, and Thurlow for Stewart. Well, for me, I think it's either Jordan Murdoch, Jermaine Jones, or Thurlow. Murdoch and Jones. Or they'll be considered for their tackling pressure and speed in the forward line to restrict the easy exits from out of fence, with Jack Henry to move back into defence. Otherwise, if Thurlow comes in to replace Stewart in defence, Henry hope will play negating role on Nick Voston. We need him to take Voston away from Menzel and Hawkins. We need their leading spaces to be vacant. And if the high ball comes in, I just want him to compete and restrict Voston's uncontested intercept marks. If Stanley doesn't play, I think I'd like to see Smith come back in. But after Abbott's stellar year so far in the VFL, I wouldn't be fussed if the Cats selection committee decided to debut him. Now, there are plenty of matchups that are certain to catch the eye.
Can we have a chat about Jack Henry for a sec?
Yeah, go for it.
I think that he's more than just a defensive foil up forward. I think the kid's got some real talent. I mean, he booted 3 goals last week. And I think that part of the resurgence of Tommy Hawkins has been down to the fact that we've tried to play an extra key forward so that Tommy's not swamped all the time. So I think that he's pretty pivotal up forward at the minute, because we don't really have anybody else. They tried Harry, his foot wasn't right, he looked slow, if Jack can go down there and he can kick a couple of goals, then I think that he'll probably stay there. I think you'll find that he'll probably stay there for the rest of the season.
Yeah, look, I agree with your sentiment about Hawkins thriving when there's another big forward down there, whether it's Taylor or Henry. He seems to play better when they're there. Just that defensively, Taylor now is just a little bit slow with the ball leaving the forward line. But yeah, I'd like to see Jack Henry to stay down there, because we do need preventive pressure, and he's a good tackler. He flies for everything in the air. He's got good hands, and that's why I think it's very, very key that someone holds Voston accountable. And I think it could be Henry, but the way that Hardwick was talking about the lineups in the forward line, and we'll get to that, it may not happen, but I'd like to see it. So with the matchups, we'll talk about the midfield first. Which ones do you think are the key?
Look, I think the pivotal one is Scott Selwood on Dustin Martin. If Scott Selwood can curtail Martin, then we go a long way to winning, I think.
Yeah, I agree, and I also think Guthrie will get a bit of time on him as well.
Yeah.
When he slips forward and even into the midfield. If Selwood's having a spell, I'd like to see Guthrie play on him. We saw in last year's final that Guthrie had the better of Martin in the first half, got injured, and then Martin just got off the leash.
Yeah.
For me, another key is if Selwood does play in the middle, which I assume he will, is who has the better day out of the captains, Selwood or Cochin. I think that'll go a long way to the game. But the other one that I'm worried about is Edwards. His form's been absolutely brilliant. He does little things that not many others can do, little tap-ons. He's got excellent vision around the footy as well. And just hope that Danger has a bigger influence, or Ablett.
Yeah, look, I'm not too stressed about the midfields. Our midfield is in red-hot form at the minute, and it's coming to fruition as to why we went for Ablett really in the end. You know, you can tag one of them, but you can't tag all of them. So it's been Selwood that's been copping the tag, but that's okay because then Dangerfield and Ablett have been getting off the leash. You know, one of them can get tagged. So I'm pretty comfortable with where our midfield's sitting at the minute. You know, Mitch Duncan rolling through has been the Rolls Royce. It's the contested ball around the ground when their half forwards get up and things like that, which worries me. You know, that's their strength. They run from the outside of the square, if you want to.
Yeah. The other concern I have is the ruck if Stanley doesn't play. Nankervis is shown that he's a good ruckman, and he's also good around the ground. And when Grigg goes in the middle, he provides that extra runner. So if Stanley goes in there, I think that with the form Stanley's in, he should have the better of Nankervis. But I'm not sold on Smith or Abbott. Abbott's untried, obviously, and I hope he goes well if he gets his chance against Nankervis. You know, he's a premiership ruckman.
Reece Stanley, you know, he was down and out 6 weeks ago. He was gone from the club, and he's turned himself around, and I think he's just signed a new 2-year contract. So, which I'm comfortable with now because he's starting to play like the player that we thought he would. So, you know, props to him.
And that's one of been, I think, the resurgences of our midfield as well. We're not roving off the opposition ruckman all the time. We're actually getting some hit-outs to advantage.
Yeah.
And also he's getting his own clearances as well. He had 5 or 6 on the weekend. So it's not only his ruck work, he's been better on the ground as well. So down forward for us, this looks likely to be a key. What are you expecting down there?
Well, I mean, who knows what Tommy's capable of doing at the minute. He's just on fire, and I love it. You know, he gets he's enjoying himself. Look, if Tommy can kick 5, I think we win.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts. But Menzel's pretty important too. Menzel, you know, Menzel is a good distributor as well as a freaky. I mean, that goal he kicked last week against Brisbane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, off the left. Well, that's...
But, you know, like in that game against Melbourne, the kick that Menzel did into the middle to Hawkins to set up that final play was brilliant. Absolutely. Yep. So he's very important as well. He might not get as much of the footy or kick as many goals, but when he does touch it, he generally sets something up.
Yeah, he's brilliant vision, good skills, and he's finding open men all the time too. So for me, if Henry plays down forward, it's Hawkins and Menzel versus Asprey and Rance. But Damien Hardwick seems to think or mentioned that Dylan Grimes may play on Menzel. So that leaves either Asprey or Rance to go to Hawkins. And I'm thinking that the other out of Asprey and Rance may go to Henry, and that leaves us with the Vlosten matchup. Now, ideally, I'd like to see Henry play on Vlosten because he is the key to their back line. He flies across, takes the intercept marks, and sets them up.
I think it's more important than not so much who plays on who, but that they spread. You know, Alex Rance is a good defender, but he relies on being able to run across and other contests. So whoever's on Rance and Asprey needs to be separate so that they can't, you know, get together and gang up on a forward or anything. You're right. The other thing with Vlosten, you can't tag all of them. If we put the pressure on with Narkle and those in the forward line, then hopefully that'll, you know, suppress him a bit. But yeah, I'm not really sure.
My worry is the high ball coming in and him taking uncontested marks. That's what he's good at, and it allows Rance and Asprey just to stay on the ground and then become link-up players as when Vlosten wins the ball. So that's my big concern is Vlosten. We've got to curb him. If Hawkins can, as you say, kick 4 or 5 on Rance or Asprey. That keeps them under control, and Menzel will kick 3 or 4 as well. So yeah, it's Henry is the wild card out of the big guys. And now finally down back, what are your expected matchups down there?
Well, I expect that Blitz gets Rewalt.
Yeah, I agree.
Outside of that, I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
They haven't got a real tall forward line, so moving Henry. That's why I don't think Henry will move down back. You know, with Blitzarv, Cole Jasny, and Henderson down there now, so we probably don't need another tall backman down there, especially against Richmond. But yeah, outside of that, I think that Busey will get Rioli.
Yep, I agree.
Outside of that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think Kolodajny will take Caddy. So they're the 3 matchups that we need to contain. But for me, it's the other guys that I'm concerned with, Butler and Townsend and Higgins. It seems to be that it's the second and third string forwards that give us the issues. Think of Hawthorn with Bruce and Gunston behind Roughhead. Yeah. North Melbourne, it was Lindsay Thomas and behind Waite and Brown. It just seems to be that third or fourth option that seems to get us. So that's what I'm sort of a little bit worried about. But special shout out to Varco for putting on a massive bump on Prestia. So he's still doing marvellous work for the Cats. Considering Prestia's been in great form on the ball and up forward, it's one less headache to worry about. So thanks, Trav.
I had a question for you. Was it a goal or was it a throw?
That's a goal.
Looked like a throw to me.
Yeah, well, we've seen defenders run around the post and do that plenty of times. So, yeah, no, that's for me a goal. He didn't lose possession of the footy. It's a unorthodox ball drop for me. That's all.
Fair enough.
Yeah. What about you? So you think it was a throw?
I thought it was a throw, yeah.
Yeah, it seems the AFL community is divided on that one as well.
Yeah.
So let's wrap it up. So finally, what's your tip for the game?
Oh, look, I don't know, man. I'm not super confident. Richmond are the form team of the competition. My head says the Tigers will probably win by a couple of goals. But if the good Geelong turns up and things fall our way, then I think we can win by a couple of goals. Either way, I don't think it'll be much difference in it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty close as well. It's going to come down to our ball use out of the back line. If we bomb it and give them repeat inside 50s, I think we're going to be in for a tough day. But if we can run it out and keep the forward line open, I think we'll get up in a close one by 11 points. Yeah. Okay, well, thanks to the Geelong fans for watching. We appreciate your feedback and encourage your participation on our Facebook page. If you have any topics you would like addressed, let us know and we'll discuss them on the show. Thanks again. See you soon and go Cats.
Go Cats.